Ever wondered why some people seem to just, effortlessly build wealth and achieve these huge dreams, while other folks, just as talented, really struggle?
Yeah, it's a big question.
What if the key wasn't some mystical secret, but maybe a set of principles you could actually discover, hidden in plain sight maybe, that could unlock your own path?
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're exploring the really profound insights from Napoleon Hill's famous work, Think and Grow Rich.
Right. Not just any book.
No, definitely not. This is more like the result of over 25 years of really careful research. Hill analyzed the lives of over 500 incredibly successful people from his era. It's a distillation, really, of what made them tick.
So our mission today is to unpack these, let's call them universal laws of success, turn these kind of abstract ideas into practical things, actionable insights for you.
Think of it as a shortcut, maybe, to understanding how your thoughts can literally transform into your reality.
Okay, let's get into it. So at the very heart of Hill's whole philosophy is this thing he calls the secret. He says it's not something you can buy. And it only really shows itself when you're, truly ready for it.
Yeah, and here's the really interesting part, right? He insists it has absolutely nothing to do with formal education.
Which seems counterintuitive, maybe.
It really does. But he gives these powerful examples, like Thomas Edison, barely 3 months of schooling, becomes the world's leading inventor.
Wow.
Or Henry Ford, very little formal education, amassed this incredible fortune. So the secret, it isn't about your diploma or family money.
Okay.
It's more like a universal law
Yeah.
based on facts he observed, and it's designed for people ready to actually apply it. And really, this secret, as we'll unpack, isn't some hidden code. It's the power of a definite desire, combined with just unshakable faith.
So if this key isn't about degrees or cash, what is it? Hill says it all starts with something, well, simple sounding, but maybe really hard to cultivate. A definite desire.
Exactly. And he's very clear. This isn't just, oh, I wish I were rich.
Right, like a daydream.
No. It has to be a clear, specific, a burning desire, something you're genuinely ready to do almost anything for.
That sounds intense.
It is. Hill's not just talking about motivation here. He's suggesting a level of obsession, almost so intense it actually forces your brain to find ways.
Yeah.
It's the difference between I'd like to be wealthy and feeling this ache until you are.
Okay, give us an example.
A perfect one is Edwin C. Barnes. He had this relentless goal to become Thomas Edison's business partner.
Right, the Vantage story in the book, yeah. It's pretty incredible. He had these huge obstacles, never met Edison, and had zero money for the train fare to get to Edison's lab. Most people would just stop right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Came over, right. But Barnes was so driven by this burning desire, Hill even says it was as strong as his mother's heaviest desire, that he actually rode a freight train.
A freight train? Seriously?
Yep, rode a freight train to East Orange, New Jersey, presented himself to Edison, and then just stayed persistent. Worked in Edison's office for years with no guarantee, no promise of a partnership.
Wow, that's commitment.
Unwavering commitment. And it did eventually paid off, big time.
How so?
Well, Edison invented this new dictating machine, the 80phone, later on.
Yeah.
His own salesmen, they weren't keen on it. They didn't see the potential.
Okay.
But Barnes, he saw the opportunity. He grabbed it. He sold that machine nationwide so successfully.
No way.
Yeah. It led to a distribution contract, a new slogan even, made by Edison and installed by Barnes. And reports say he earned something like $2 to $3 million back then.
That's incredible money for the time.
Huge. It just proved that a definite purpose, that sheer determination, could overcome having no money, no fancy education, no connections, just the desire.
It's a powerful story.
And there's another amazing one that shows this power. Dr. Frank Gunsales. He was a philosopher, a religious man.
Okay.
Had this big idea for an educational institution, but needed $1 million, a huge sum.
And let me guess, he didn't have it.
Not even close. And for 2 years, absolutely no progress. Nothing. Then he made a definite decision. He said, I will raise that $1 million in 1 week.
1 week? After 2 years of nothing? That sounds bold.
Extremely bold. So he quickly prepares this lecture titled, If I Had $1 Million. Then, the night before, he goes to bed with total faith, visualizing the money as if it were already his, like really feeling it.
He basically willed it into existence.
That's the idea. And get this, within 36 hours of giving that lecture, a man, Mr. Armour, approaches him, gives him the full $1 million.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And that led to the founding of what's now the Illinois Institute of Technology. It just shows the incredible speed that a definite decision and that burning desire, when backed by real faith, can actually make things happen.
Okay, so that brings us perfectly to the second pillar you mentioned, faith. Hill explains faith isn't just like a religious thing, it's a state of mind you can actually develop.
Right, through what he calls autosuggestion, which is basically suggestions you consciously feed to your own mind over and over.
Like affirmations.
Kind of, but maybe deeper. Your subconscious mind, that, incredibly powerful part of you, it takes thoughts that are loaded with faith, with real conviction, and it starts acting on them. It finds ways.
So it's not just wishful thinking. It's like programming your own operating system.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. If you consistently feed it unwavering belief, your subconscious starts filtering your reality, directing your actions, often in ways you don't even consciously notice, to align with that belief.
Okay, that makes sense. You mentioned Mary Kay Ash, founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Yes, a great example. She credited her success largely to self-confidence. Early in her career, she went to this sales seminar, saw a top woman get awarded the Queen's Book, and Mary Kay decided, right then, I'm winning that next year.
Just decided.
Yep. She even went up and told the chairman of the company. He apparently saw the belief in her eyes. And guess what?
She won it.
She won it the next year. Her method. Daily visualization. Seeing herself as successful, feeling worthy, confident, really dwelling on past wins, even small ones. It wasn't just being positive. It was a deliberate building of self-belief.
And maybe the most powerful, almost touching example Hill gives is about his own son.
Oh, yes. It's quite profound.
His son was born with severe hearing and speech problems. Doctors basically said he'd never hear or speak normally.
A devastating prognosis. But Hill's faith, his willpower, it was immense. He constantly whispered to his son, instilling the belief that he could hear, that he could speak. He refused to let the thought of disability dominate his own mind or his son's environment.
And the outcome.
It's truly fascinating. Hill writes that nature somehow created a bridge, a way for sound vibrations to reach his son's brain, even without a normal ear canal structure.
Wow.
This transformation, fueled by Hill's persistent belief and effort, eventually allowed the son not only to hear and speak, but to use his unique experience to help thousands of others with hearing impairments, turning a supposed shortcoming into this incredible asset.
That really speaks to the almost unseen power of faith and autosuggestion when it's applied with that kind of intensity.
It really does. Intense conviction.
Okay, so we've talked about lighting that fire inside, the desire, the faith. But what really separates the dreamers from the doers?
Right, because intention isn't enough.
This is where Hill really hammers home the need for strategic action and persistence. Almost stubborn persistence.
He does. His analysis looking at, I think it was 25,000 unsuccessful people.
Wow, that many.
Yeah. It revealed that the #1 reason for failure out of 30 major causes was simply a lack of decision. Indecision.
Just not deciding.
Just not making firm decisions. Successful leaders, he found, make decisions quickly, firmly, and they don't get easily swayed by what everyone else thinks.
Like Henry Ford again?
Exactly. He was known for being stubborn, right?
Yeah.
Sticking with the Model T for years, even when people clamored for changes. But he was also decisive when he did change it. He didn't let public opinion dictate his core decisions. That decisiveness, even seen as stubbornness, was key.
And for a huge historical example of just pure decision-making power.
You can't really beat the American Declaration of Independence.
Right. July 4th, 1776. 56 people signed that document, knowing full well it could mean freedom or getting hanged.
Absolutely. It was an incredible act of courage, of faith, born from a definite collective decision by leaders like Adams, Hancock, Jefferson.
Yeah.
And that decision was amplified by what you could call an early mastermind group, the Committee of Correspondence. They unified the colony's efforts. It's just this powerful example of how definite decisions made with total resolve can literally change history.
But making the decision is one thing, sticking with it, that's another. Persistence is huge here, right? Because Hill says failure isn't, like, final.
Exactly. It's just a temporary setback. Often a sign your plans need adjusting. Not that your goal is wrong, but most people just quit too soon.
He tells that story about R.U. Darby.
Ah, yes. The classic 3 feet from gold.
Right. Darby's uncle, a gold miner, digs and digs, finds nothing, gives up, sells his equipment cheap.
To a junk dealer.
And the junk dealer thinks, maybe I should check this out. calls in an engineer.
And the engineer says, you stopped digging just 3 feet from a massive vein of gold.
Ouch! Talk about a painful lesson.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds almost like a fable, but things like that happen, don't they? What do you think Hill would tell someone today who feels like they're right there, 3 feet away, but ready to quit?
Well, I think he'd say 2 things. First, remember that no doesn't always mean no. It often just means not yet, or maybe not this way.
Okay.
And second, that temporary defeat, it's part of the journey. It's a signal to maybe adjust your approach, change your plan, but not abandon the entire quest. Darby himself learned that. He later became this hugely successful insurance salesman because he realized that no often just meant he hadn't found the right way to connect yet. Many big sales came after initial rejection.
That resilience.
Yeah.
We see it in modern success stories too, right? Like Fred Smith, FedEx.
Oh, absolutely. His college paper outlining an overnight delivery system. Dismissed. Laughed at, practically.
But he didn't give up.
No way. He went out, raised $91 million, an insane amount back then, to start FedEx. The company bled money initially, lost millions its first year. Investors were screaming at him.
Wow, the pressure must have been immense.
Huge. But his confidence, his belief in the idea never wavered. He persisted, and, well, we all know FedEx today. Multi-billion-dollar giant. He could have easily walked away.
But that burning desire again.
Kept him going. Or think about Howard Schultz and Starbucks.
Right. Inspired by Italian coffee bars.
Yeah, but the original Starbucks owners, they just wanted to sell beans wholesale. They resisted his vision for cafes.
So what did you do?
He started his own coffee bar first, proved the concept, then eventually bought Starbucks itself. But even then, they lost over $10 million for 3 years straight.
3 years of losses. Most people would fold.
Absolutely. But Schultz had this unwavering conviction in the quality of the coffee and the experience he wanted to create. That belief, that persistence through massive losses, turned Starbucks into the global force it is. It was the vision carrying them.
Okay, so desire, faith, persistence. They're burning bright. How do you actually orchestrate the success? Turn that vision into something real.
Right. This brings us to 2 more key elements, imagination and the mastermind principle.
Imagination. Hull calls it the workshop of the mind.
Exactly, where desires get shaped into actual plans. He
Yeah.
talks about 2 kinds. Synthetic imagination, which
Yeah.
is basically rearranging old ideas, concepts, plans into new combinations, like putting existing puzzle pieces together differently.
Okay, and the other?
Creative imagination. This is where he says you get new insights, inspirations, almost like flashes of genius from what he calls infinite intelligence.
Infinite intelligence. That sounds a bit out there, maybe.
Yeah, it can sound that way, yeah. But you could think of it as Hill's term for those moments of pure intuition, those aha moments that seem to come from beyond your logical thinking, the sudden breakthrough idea.
Gotcha, like it just pops into your head.
Precisely. And you see this creative imagination driving so many innovators. Think about Steven Spielberg early on.
Yeah.
As a young guy, he'd sneak onto the Universal Studios lot, hide in tour buses, made friends with guards, found an empty office, and just started making films. Pure initiative, right?
Totally.
And his confidence, his creative vision, led him to basically demand to direct Jaws, even though his first couple films weren't huge hits. And Jaws became this massive, record-breaking success, all born from an imagined possibility he pursued relentlessly.
And you see it in inventors, too. Edison trying thousands of times for the light bulb.
Right, or the Wright brothers dreaming of flying when everyone thought it was impossible. Marconi envisioning sending messages through the air without wires. They weren't just tinkering. They were driven by a powerful, creative imagination, making the unseen real.
They imagined it first.
They had to. But individual imagination, while crucial, often needs something more to reach massive scale. And that's where the mastermind principle comes in.
Okay, what exactly is that?
Hill defines it as the coordination of knowledge and effort between 2 or more people working towards a definite purpose in a spirit of complete harmony.
Harmony is key.
Crucial. He says this coordination creates this invisible, intangible third force, like a third mind that's greater than the sum of its parts.
Interesting concept. Examples.
Andrew Carnegie built his colossal steel empire. He attributed his success and fortune largely to his mastermind group, about 50 people he coordinated with. He literally said the power came from that group.
50 people, that's a big mastermind.
It was. And Henry Ford, again, remember he was called ignorant during that libel trial because he couldn't answer basic general knowledge questions?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
His response was brilliant. He essentially said, why should I clutter my mind with that stuff when I have men around me His mastermind group is trusted minds who can supply any knowledge I require.
Huh. That's a great answer.
It really redefined being educated, didn't it? Not knowing everything, but knowing where to get the knowledge and how to apply it through your network.
That totally reframes expertise. And this principle, it's still alive today, right? In companies.
Absolutely. Think about Intel. Their leadership team, for a long time, had this really informal, collaborative structure. No private offices for top execs, constant interaction. And during crises, like that huge Pentium chip recall that cost them nearly $500 million,
Yeah, I remember that.
the team demonstrated this incredible collective effort, dedicating massive extra time, energy, brain power. They literally function as that third mind Hill described, solving a massive problem together.
That makes sense. The synergy.
Or look at Southwest Airlines. Roland King had the vision for cheap, short-haul flights in Texas. Herb Kelleher brought the legal smarts to fight the established airlines. Their whole team rallied around this customer-first, super-efficient model, those 10-minute turnarounds. That unified mastermind focus allowed them to thrive while others went bankrupt.
It's the combination of skills and shared purpose.
Exactly. And maybe the most powerful, almost mind-bending example Hill uses isn't even from business. It's Mahatma Gandhi.
Gandhi, how does he fit?
Hill described Gandhi as perhaps the most powerful man of his time. Not because of money or military might.
Right,
He hadn't either.
right.
But because he united 200 million people. Think about that number. United them in a spirit of unity with body and mind for a definite purpose, India's independence. Hill called it a miracle, demonstrating the sheer, almost unbelievable power of a collective mastermind focused on a single goal.
Wow. 200 million people as a mastermind. That's profound.
It really puts the potential into perspective, doesn't it? And building on this, Hill stresses the application of specialized knowledge. It's not just having the mastermind or the knowledge.
What you do with it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Knowledge itself is only potential power. It only becomes real power when you organize it into
Huh?
definite plans and use it for a specific purpose. It's like having a garage full of tools versus actually building something.
He gives that example of the grocery salesman, right?
Yeah, interesting story. Guy loses his job, feels like he has no prospects, but instead of just looking for another sales job, he takes an accounting course, gets some specialized knowledge.
Okay.
Then, the innovative part, he doesn't just become an accountant. He starts a mobile accounting service, goes directly to small businesses who can't afford a full-time person.
Smart. Filling a niche.
Exactly. And he ends up earning like 10 times his old salary. His success came not just from the accounting knowledge, but from the idea of how to package and deliver it, organizing specialized knowledge for a definite market need.
It's the application.
It's always the application. There's another great story about a mother helping her son fresh out of college.
Oh, yeah. What does she do?
Instead of just telling him to send out resumes, she helped him create this incredibly detailed, like 50-page plan booklet.
50 pages for a
Right.
job application.
Yeah. It outlined the exact position he wanted, how his skills fit, but crucially, how he would add specific value to that company. It even included suggestions for the company based on her research.
So it was a super personalized and proactive.
Highly researched, totally personalized. He presented this in his very first interview. And guess what? He got offered a junior executive position right away, skipping years of starting at the bottom. She took his general college knowledge and specialized it, organized it for one definite target.
That's incredible. It shows the power of preparation and, well, marketing yourself effectively.
Absolutely. Which leads to Hill's formula for effectively selling your services, whether you're an employee or entrepreneur. It's quality of service,
Makes sense. Got to be good at what you do.
plus quantity of service,
Meaning?
delivering consistently, putting in the effort, and crucially, plus the spirit of service,
Spirit of service.
which he defines as, like, pleasant coordination. Working well with others, having a cooperative, positive attitude, always aiming to give more value than expected. That combination, he says, leads to permanent success and makes you highly valuable long-term. It's about how you deliver that specialized knowledge.
Okay, this is all great, very positive, but let's be real. As you move towards these big goals, you hit roadblocks. Internal ones, too.
Oh, absolutely. And Hill tackles this head on. He identifies what he calls the 6 basic ghosts of fear. These are like enemies within your own mind.
Ghosts of fear sounds ominous.
They are, in a way, because if you let them run wild, they neutralize all that positive energy, that desire, and they just destroy ambition. You have to identify them and consciously overcome them.
Okay, what are they?
The first, and he says the most destructive, is the fear of poverty. This one just paralyzes your imagination, kills your self-confidence, makes you play small.
I can see that. What's next?
The fear of criticism. This is a big one,
Mm.
often instilled by well-meaning, friends or family. It stops people setting high goals, taking necessary risks, even correcting mistakes. Sometimes think of people stuck in unhappy situations because they fear what others will say if they change.
Yeah, fear of judgment. Powerful stuff.
Hugely. Hill himself admitted he initially feared criticism when he first took on the huge task of developing this whole philosophy for Andrew Carnegie.
Interesting. Okay, number 3.
Fear of ill health. Worrying constantly about getting sick. He notes many perceived illnesses are actually imaginary hypochondria. And this fear often ties into fear of death or fear of losing income due to sickness.
Right.
Fear of loss of love.
Yeah.
A really painful, deep-seated fear often shows up as jealousy, possessiveness, fear of abandonment.
And the last 2.
Fear of old age, which isn't just about getting older, but often tied to a fear of losing independence, vitality, or relevance, losing that imaginative power or self-confidence.
And finally,
The fear of death, probably the most universal, most frightening for many, largely because it's the ultimate unknown. Though Hill does suggest that science and education are gradually lessening this ancient fear as we understand more.
so these 6 ghosts: poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, death. What's the defense against them?
The core defense, Hill argues, is self-control, recognizing that you have complete control over your own mind. You get to choose which thoughts and emotions you allow to take root.
Easier said than done sometimes, though.
Oh, for sure. It takes practice. That's why he recommends a really rigorous annual self-analysis, like literally sit down at the end of each year with a list of questions.
What kind of questions?
Things like, did I procrastinate? Do I lack essential knowledge? Is my personality negative? Am I wasting money or time? Am I too proud? Do I guess instead of thinking? Crucially, do I have a definite major goal?
Oof. Sounds like a tough mirror to hold up.
It is, but it's about being brutally honest with yourself so you can actually improve year after year. He also talks about the if I had excuse.
If I had excuse.
Yeah, if I had more money, if I had more time, if I had a better education.
Right.
He calls it the national lament. People become experts at making excuses for why they haven't succeeded.
And they protect those excuses.
They do,
Yeah.
often more fiercely than they protect their goals. Hill says overcoming yourself, your own fears, excuses, limitations. That's the first and maybe the greatest conquest you need to make.
And a big part of that is guarding your mind, isn't it? Protecting it from negativity.
Absolutely critical. Guarding against negative influences from other people, even people you love, like close friends or relatives, if they're constantly dragging you down or sowing doubt.
So choose your company wisely.
Very wisely. Associate with people who inspire you, encourage you, who vibrate on that positive, achieving frequency. Hill says your mind is your spiritual wealth. You need to protect it fiercely, maybe even more than your bank account. It's about actively curating your mental environment.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Thinking back on everything.
Right.
What's the big picture takeaway for someone listening right now?
Well, we've journeyed through these really profound principles, haven't we? That definite burning desire, the unwavering faith, the need for strategic plans and action.
Right. And that relentless persistence, never giving up 3 feet from gold.
Exactly. Plus the power of your own imagination, the workshop of your mind, and the incredible leverage you get from a mastermind group.
Plus knowing how to apply specialized knowledge, not just collect facts.
And finally, conquering those internal enemies, those 6 ghosts of fear.
It really paints a picture where you are the architect of your own life, doesn't it?
Completely. You're capable of taking these abstract things, thoughts, desires, beliefs, and transforming them into tangible reality. Hill presents your mind as his powerful broadcasting and receiving station.
Broadcasting and receiving. Explain that a bit more.
What you choose to broadcast, the thoughts, the desires, the faith you send out with real conviction, your mind, especially your subconscious, works tirelessly to receive the corresponding reality. It tunes into the frequency you set.
Okay, so here's where it gets really, really interesting for you listening. Consider these invisible and intangible forces we've talked about. The sheer power of focused thought, your subconscious mind working behind the scenes, the amplified energy of a mastermind. How much of your current situation right now might just be a reflection of the signals, the subconscious commands you've been broadcasting, maybe without even realizing it?
It's a powerful question to ask yourself.
So what powerful, definite desire are you going to intentionally start feeding your mind? starting today? What are those ghosts of fear you need to finally confront and kick out of your thoughts? And how are you going to consciously harness these universal laws, these principles, to really write your own ticket, to design the success and the happiness you want?
The choice,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and the truly immense potential that comes with it. It really does lie within you.